We got Joust, Oxy, Ultra, T1, Sinner. Welcome, welcome everybody. Jay, how's it going? All right, let's see. Just gotta make sure everything is hunky-dory with the recording. How's it going, Darren? All right. And down in stage archive we get. Okay. So back up here in AMA chat. How is everyone doing today? Things are going okay throughout the week with the market, and then today just took quite an interesting turn. But that's okay. We pick ourselves up, brush ourselves off, and keep going. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. People may trickle in, but yeah, let's go ahead and jump in. So, of course, in general, I just want to re-emphasize that we continue to remain hard at work on finalizing Prion, coordinating marketing. I believe the most recent message from Sim in the general chat was that we have about 94% code coverage for Prion. So obviously things are moving in the right directions with that. The announcements section itself has been quiet this past week, and I know that that can kind of generate a lot of angst among people. But rest assured that this does not have any correlation with how hard we are working behind the scenes. So, for example, we are already in talks with different automated concentrated liquidity managers to build those auto bribe components on top of Prion. You know, much like how Dyson can create these synergies with Prion, where the swap fees from the concentrated liquidity position can go towards auto bribes for VE Prion holders. The same can be true for other automated concentrated liquidity managers, and that is what we're looking to do. Because, of course, it benefits the user for amplified yields, and it benefits these underlying protocols as well by further incentivizing their liquidity. Also, we are aware that there are some harvesting issues on some of Dyson's vaults, and we are working on a fix. I know we've talked about that before, but just to reiterate. And then I did want to talk about this because we've seen some questions come up about it, and it hasn't really been clearly stated anywhere yet with regards to the ylSPHERE unlock and how that will function in terms of you know, basically the minute details of how that works. So for those of you here, for those of you listening in on the recordings, this is how you know, currently things are set out. So, you know, with that first ylSPHERE unlock approaching, again, we want to get ahead of some of those common FAQs regarding how that works. So when the unlock occurs, you will continue to receive rewards for 3 weeks, while having the option to either relock or withdraw your sphere. So for 3 weeks, you will be receiving rewards, though those do diminish over time, and we'll get to that. But you'll still have that option to either relock or withdraw. After those 3 weeks, you will then become eligible to be kicked from the vault by another user. And if that does occur, you will actually lose a very small amount of sphere as a result. And we'll talk about that later. It's a very, very tiny amount. But even so, and altogether, this is to ensure that the rewards, the real yield, is being funneled to active users and is not going to any dead wallets. It also encourages users to stay active within Sphere. So that's just a general cover. There are some different FAQ that I would like to go through. So few weeks. Yes, so you can still receive rewards while staying liquid, meaning that you will still have the option to either withdraw or relock for those 3 weeks. But let me jump ahead to this FAQ. The VAPR you receive will go down by 1% per week. So by the 3rd week, you'll be receiving 3% less than the actual VAPR. And then, of course, after 3 weeks, there will be no rewards. So there is still a slight penalty, so to speak, for not relocking right away. Other FAQ within this, what is the purpose of that kicking? And again, that's to reward active lockers and then ensure that dead wallets remain dead, right? That they're not kind of just sucking out the yield of the system. Other FAQ, will I receive ylSPHERE rewards after my unlock? Yes, as I mentioned, but only for 3 weeks. And then after those 3 weeks, you will no longer receive rewards. The VAPR after the unlock, as I mentioned, will go down by 1% per week. So by that 3rd week, if you still are undecided of withdraw versus relock, you'll receive 3% less of the VAPR. And then after that 3 weeks, there will be no rewards. And additionally, after those 3 weeks, you will be eligible to be kicked. So if someone kicks you, and this can be done through the contract, if someone kicks you, they will receive a little amount of sphere, which is calculated by a calculation, which I'm going to post in probably stage board. 100 times epochs over plus 1 divided by 10,000. So essentially, for example, if a user is kicked after 52 weeks, then they will lose 0.53% of their sphere. So it's a very small amount. Hey, Crypto RY, what is up? After those 3 weeks, will the reward still sit there being claimable? Yes, calculated by calculation. So that's another portion that I still need to double check on, is that the unclaimed rewards, whether they go to the user to be able to be claimed, or if it's actually distributed to the kicker, to the one who kicks out the user. So that I still have to verify. That's the one FAQ, because that's within the contract. But that is a good question. All right. Any other questions about that unlock and about withdrawing versus relocking, how that operates? Because again, I know it hasn't been formally talked about yet, so I do think it's important to be aware of as it is coming up here. Doesn't seem like it, and that's okay. I'm sure things will certainly come up more as we get closer to that unlock. But I did want to mention that next week there is no AMA. I am actually going on hiatus May 29th through June 5th. So there will be a YouTube video this Friday, but then there will not be any videos this coming Monday through the Monday after that. And then rest assured, I will pick up back with content on June 7th. We'll do our next community AMA, so in 2 weeks, indeed, touching grass. And then past that, looking further ahead, I also have another hiatus coming up on June 19th through the 26th. So just a heads up on that, but I'll be sure to, again, let people know about that. And yes, as Sinner is keenly pointing out, it does actually occur on the unlock date that I will be MIA. So I've just accepted that, and as soon as I am able, I will be relocking. And again, I will do my best to actually post this in the Sphere TV channel as well, just so you know. I told you it would be make up for those days by dropping a little alpha on Prion later this AMA. Oh, if only. I have some good questions. People ask some good questions this week, so I have a good amount to talk about, and hopefully I can answer those questions uh, in a satisfactory manner. Kid Bucko had a good question. Sinner, of course, has good questions in the AMA questions, so we can jump into those. But before we do, any thoughts or questions on what we've discussed so far? Only 16 in, what's going on? 16 in? What do you mean? All right. Well, let me just go ahead and get started with the questions. Because like I mentioned, there's some good ones in here with some good discussion potentially. Oh, only 16 in the audience. I see. Yeah, I'm not fazed by it. I appreciate you guys being here. And of course, the recording is there and available for people. We do get views on the live stream, so I imagine there's a good amount of people who just want to double speed it or that sort of thing later. So totally understandable. But with that said, let's start going through the AMA questions. The first was actually more of a statement from Primacool, who said, the project has a strong team that strives for success. This project has a bright future, a very promising project. So we just want to say thank you for that. That really means a lot, and we appreciate your support. So the first question is actually a two-part question, and it comes from Sero. So the first question, and I'm going to read through it, is quite a lengthy question, but bear with me here. So the question is, a very long time ago, it was said that we will be able to use our deposited pairs on Penrose and leverage it through Prion. It has not been talked about recently. I wanted to know if this feature will be in Prion, and will this feature be available for the Sphere project only like Penrose and Unknown, or will it be available for all the projects that will be using Prion? If this feature will only be available for Sphere projects, will you build another Dystopia Pen Cone Unknown like project, but upgraded for all other chains and connect them on Prion afterwards? So, very stacked question. We have mentioned before that Penrose and Unknown are on pause in terms of development until their underlying projects that they're built on, which are Dystopia and Cone, are worked on. And again, these two projects are not under Sphere's control in terms of development, though we have been actively communicating with the team, asking for updates on their progress. That all being said, there are many ways that we can see integrations and synergies within the Sphere ecosystem as things are being built out. And of course, we'll discuss more of these things in time. On launch, importantly, the only asset that Prion will accept as collateral will be ETH. And there's reasons for that. It's to ensure the stability of the protocol and of the star stablecoin. But we have mentioned that the available collateral assets will expand in time. So first and foremost, we need to focus on launching Prion, ensuring its stability, ensuring that everything is working as it should, before we then think about branching into more complicated collateral assets such as LPs, let alone others such as, other blue chip tokens. Does that make sense? Basically, it's about a stepwise progression. At the end of the day, of course, we are interested in continuing to build these Lego bricks on each other within the Sphere ecosystem to encourage users to use the different ecosystem components. So as we move forward, as things gain time under their belt, as things have been released and we're able to then go back and optimize them, these things will be built out in time. But it does take time, and right now Sphere is still just a little baby, and all these ecosystem components are still being set in place, the foundations. So we appreciate your patience as well. Number 2 from Tero. I don't remember if Dystopia new features have been talked about. Will this be a UI feature only, or will be there changes, upgrades on the initial project? And same question for Penrose. Will Penrose have UI improvement only, or changes, upgrades on the project itself? So this is similar to the first question, but with respect to what was unanswered in my first response, we will not know exactly what changes Penrose will need to have until the updated Dystopia is finalized and released. Sorry, I'm just catching up on chat. Thank you, Team Claro. Killer Beans, I've heard about Star. Prion, oh Prion, what will the whitelist token for Prion be? Is it just Prion? Maybe dub question. It would be Prion, but the details on how that would work are still being discussed. 14 more watching stream on YouTube, including me. Hello, welcome from the YouTube stream. Thanks for being here. We need a catalyst so much for the marketing team. It's a decent amount. Same for Dyson's release. Yeah, I'm not fazed by it at all. Like I said, the market sentiment is low. We had a pretty red day in Bitcoin in general, so things are as they are. And it is also nice weather indeed. But you know, the recording is always available. These ultimately are for you guys to answer questions in the community, have a space to vent, ask questions, all these different things. So we appreciate you being here, and like I said, the recording is available. Winter Down Under, yeah, indeed. All right. So that actually brings me, where is it? Crypto RY to the next question, which is from Jago. Can you talk about marketing plans in detail regarding Prion? Not in detail, but more in general. The marketing team has already been very helpful in terms of helping us structure and time the release of Twitter posts and Medium articles, for example. And we are working very closely with that external marketing team to ensure as smooth and impactful of a launch for Prion as possible. I'd also like to note that, again, any amount of marketing in a bear market is going to use more resources and cost more to get the same amount of turnover as it would in a bull market. So we just have to be cognizant of those factors. It's not to say that we are not marketing during the bear market, but it is to say that we do have to consider those things. Mild summer. All right, I'll take a brief pause and check in with you guys in AMA chat, because the next question by Kid Bucko is quite extensive in terms of what I want to say about it. 11 p.m. in Scotland. Man. Yeah, hopefully I moved this a little 30 minutes earlier. Hopefully that's a bit more helpful for people. All right. right. Well, it seems we're doing okay in stage chat. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into Kid Bucko's question. You here, mate? Let's see. Oh, I don't see you. That's okay. You may be listening later, which again, not to worry. All right, so Kid Bucko's question. Been in this project from the beginning. What I don't see, though, is how the Sphere token is valuable to the project. When there were buy-sell taxes, then the team had an incentive to grow holders' numbers and the price of the Sphere token. However, the project was funded off the taxes. Now they have this money and are farming and building with it. I don't see any value the token has to the project. So my question is, what are, / if any, the motivations, incentives for the team to grow holders and the price of Sphere? As far as I can see, the team could forget about the token, let it go to 0, and it wouldn't affect their income from farming or building projects like Dyson or Preon. This is worrying for token holders, as I don't see how we are needed now. Sort of feel a bit like a stray dog, and the team will feed us petty scraps from the table when they see fit. I think we need some incentive for the team to have the token grow. I hope I have this all wrong, and you can tell me the token is valuable because of X, Y, and Z. Well, first, I'm sorry that you feel that way, and let me dive in to what I have to say. So this is actually an easy question for me to respond to. So first and foremost, there is still an allocation of Sphere tokens in the Sphere Treasury multisig that are set aside for the team. So that alone has clear incentives on the side of the team for the Sphere ecosystem to succeed. Right, exactly. Team Clara said the same thing. So that's first and foremost. But let's move beyond that because, sure, that's one incentive. But second, everything being built in the Sphere ecosystem is being built to funnel value to the Sphere token. That is the entire purpose. So right now, that is in the form of yield locked Sphere. And of course, we know in the future that will be in the form of ylSPHERE. So Sphere remains and has always been the central focus because from a yield standpoint, it's the central focus of the yield funnel from the ecosystem. It all comes down to the Sphere token. And that's kind of where this concept of the S&P 500 of crypto came from, is that all these other yield opportunities can be built into an ecosystem that funnels down into one single token. Third, the more eyes and users that enter into the Sphere ecosystem, be it through Dyson or Preon or Sphere Lend, the more yield that Sphere accumulates. And again, because the Sphere token is at the center, that yield is channeled right to Sphere. So at the very least, more eyes and interest in the ecosystem means more overall revenue for Sphere, and that includes lockers and the team. Another thing to kind of say within this, and this is from Ruxpin, so I appreciate and shout out for that, but the overall premise of Sphere is that the Sphere token price can appreciate from the desire to get the returns in these significant blue chip assets such as WMATIC. So the higher the VAPR of Sphere, the more the interested parties. So Preon, Sphere Lend, Dyson, etc., Penrose Unknown, all are revenue sources which increase the amount of VAPR that can be paid out, where far more than they would as a standalone projects. And also due to their built-in interactions with each other, all of these things increasing the VAPR. And I know we're not seeing that just yet, but that is because we are still building these things out. So every new protocol using a service increases revenue. All of the new integrations within Dyson, every new pool, every new chain, etc. So just releasing these projects is not the end game to the increase in revenue for Sphere. It is just the start. And as that VAPR increases, one of two things will happen, right? Either that increase in VAPR will become absurd and Sphere token holders will earn crazy yield, or, which is more likely, is that more people will want to get a share of that yield through buying Sphere and also locking up. So that process will increase the price of Sphere, and in balancing that will decrease the VAPR to a point where you have people who are satisfied with the VAPR and people who are not satisfied with the VAPR. And that new equilibrium with all of these different revenue sources will be at a new higher priced range of the Sphere token. So as more and more revenue is added, that cycle happens again and again for both the price and VAPR discovery. So I hope that makes sense, but it's a way of kind of spelling that out more completely. So after that rant, does anyone have any thoughts or questions about that in terms of the actual value of the Sphere token itself? Honestly, I was a little surprised by this question because there's, as you can see, there's so many reasons why you can say that Sphere is a valuable token. And again, I know that a lot of this stuff is still in its conceptual phases, right? Like we don't have Prion yet. We don't have Sphere Lend yet. We don't have Covenant yet. But these are all planned to be part of and within the ecosystem. And as those are laid forward, and these foundations, these structural, what am I trying to say? Structural applications are built, then more and more can be laid on top of it. And hopefully what we see with that is increased yield and revenue for Sphere, more VAPR will attract more users, will increase the price of Sphere to balance it out. So yes, it is true that the early adopters will capture that the most yield. Anyway, any thoughts on that? And I just want to double check here. Yep, okay. Still no yeah, Kid Bucko not here in the audience. That's okay. Always made sense to me. Excellent. Glad to hear it, Sinner. Well then, let's jump into your questions because you have got a couple here. So from Sinner, whose idea was it to shorten the length of the YouTube videos? I find it really easy to pack in the information much faster now, so it was a great change. Will require a 10-hour loop of your voice to make up for it. Well, I kind of take that one of two ways. Number one is that I talk too much, which if that's the case, it's okay. Just let me know. But on the other side, I'm glad you like them. Just kind of digging into this more, the YouTube videos are 100% my responsibility. So I write the scripts, I record them, I post them to the team for review. I make any necessary changes, and then I set up for the final scheduled post, of course, with the assistance of Grom's amazing thumbnail artwork. Oh, I see. If I need a 10-hour loop of your voice, it's never enough. Well, I appreciate that. So yeah, each video's duration is going to be unique based on the type of content and information that I'm trying to get across. So it's just been the case that more recently I've been focusing on recapping much of the information about Prion, but just breaking it down into smaller, more easily digestible videos so that people can better understand each component and, of course, go to these different videos for these components. So naturally, each individual topic it takes less time to explain. So I'm able to capture it in a shorter video. That being said, I've heard from a number of people now that you guys enjoy the shorter videos. So I can definitely make a bigger effort to keep videos between, like, say, I don't know, the 4 to 8 minute mark in the future as best as I can. But that comes with a caveat of, I imagine some will inevitably go over that, depending on the content, information I'm trying to get across, that sort of thing. So for example, like the when I do an AMA recap, I really try my best to capture basically every single thing that is discussed, even if I just condense it down into one sentence. So that takes a lot of time, but it also then can really eat up a lot of time because I'm trying to condense, an hour or an hour and a half down into, a 10 to 15-minute video. So that's one thing, but no, it's I'm glad to hear that the shorter videos are more interesting to people. It kind of helps guide my future focus for videos. Ultra, when Morgan Freeman XPT collab. If we hit 1 bill market cap, I am pushing hard for this. Well, that would be really cool, wouldn't it? And my meditation session, love it. Man. I'm glad you guys find my voice uh meditative. Yeah. All right. Next, also from Sinner, is I understand that plans change and that's absolutely okay and normal. Thank you. You just the fact that you understand that is a big step, and we appreciate that. Some people struggle with that. I was just wondering if the team has any plans to remove the forced appreciation off the website. It seems, at least from this idea section, bringing BBB and back, buyback and burning back, that burns are not wanted, and unless there's a different forced appreciation method that we don't know of, I don't see it necessary to have it on the website. I just wanted to see if we could get clarity / website cleanup on the entire thing. So thank you for pointing this out. We are aware of this and that it's still on the website, and it has been a topic of internal discussion. So one thing worth noting about this is that forced appreciation can come from a variety of methods. So for example, and as I was describing in my response to Kid Bucko's question about Sphere's value, the more yield that is funneled to Sphere, the higher the VAPR, which will, of course, attract more users, and therefore likely a higher price point for the Sphere token. So this, in and of itself, is a form of forced appreciation through increasingly attractive real yield opportunities. So that's one way of looking at it. But again, it is a topic of internal discussion within the team. So we'll see and have been reflecting on what we want to do with that. But it's a good question, not question, so to speak, but we appreciate you, bringing that further to our attention. Okay. So believe it or not, those are all of the AMA questions this week. But I thought there were some really good ones within that. Center, you particularly, and then Kid Bucko's question, certainly there's a lot to that. So hopefully I answered those in a satisfactory manner. And of course, all of the information about the ylSPHERE kicking mechanism is at very close to the beginning of the AMA. So anyone joining late, please refer to that for more information. Spongy, hello. So different topics this week. Anything you guys want explained again or differently, or does anyone have any questions here in stage chat? And then let me also go here. Okay. Should be good there. All right. I see Oxy typing, very good. But yeah, just as people are typing, once again, just really appreciate you guys who are here for being here. We know it's a lot to take an hour of your day to be here, and we really appreciate it. Especially with the timing of things. I know it's very late for some people. Oxy, I'm in my bed trying to stay awake. All good. Good points discussed today. Okay. Very good. Well, I appreciate you being here, especially for that. My goodness. Thank you, Ultra. Yes, I almost forgot to mention the poker pool for this Saturday. Remember that there is a zero buy-in, and you can win some prizes. So, believe it or not, I had never played poker before, and then I had played in one of the uh, team games, and I think I came in, what was it, like top 4 or 5. So just out of basically sheer luck. Uh, so try your hand, even if you've never played before. Go ahead and give it a shot. You never know. You just never know. Sinner, absolutely happy and satisfied. Thank you as always. I appreciate you every week. Hey, that means a lot. I really appreciate that. And we appreciate you. Solve Maxwell, I'm brand new to Sphere. I'd like to ask some basic questions. Are you able to answer those at this time? Of course. Bring them on. Von Top, was the 3-week unlock for ylSPHERE always planned, or was it just thought up to try and ease off any sell-off fears? I believe that was always part of the contract. And it's not so much to ease off any sell-off fears. The goal is actually to not give yield to dead wallets and keep the yield going to the active wallets. And Ultra confirm, thank you, that this has always been in place. Y'all guys who can read codes and understand things, and I see code and I'm like, cool, that looks like something. I see solve typing, so oh, very good. I'm interested in the concentrated liquidity management. The pool I'm interested in has very little TVL. Does this affect my position if I am to enter with more than the total TVL? It does affect my position if I am to enter with more than the total TVL. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, but you are of course free to enter as much. Yes, so if you're referring to the Dyson pools, the yes, okay, so yeah, those are still active. If you enter into a position with more than the total TVL, how, I guess, what's your concern about how it might affect your position? If anything, it would give you the majority of the fees. So yeah, as Oxy and Ultra said, you basically would end up getting the majority of the rewards because it's proportional based on your position relative to the total TVL in terms of who gets those fees. If I'm answering your question correctly. Understood, just wondering why TVL is so low within Dyson contract. TVL of main pool and Uniswap is very large. Yeah, part of that is, could come down to the fact that there are different concentrated liquidity managers. Dyson is simply one of those. So the other part of that is that there's just fewer people in DeFi and crypto right now. So there are certainly more opportunities like that available for those willing to go for them. How often does it compound? It depends on the rewards accumulated. So once the rewards are enough that the compounding can actually pay for gas fees adequately, including the 2% harvest fee, then it will compound. Certain vaults are having, There are some issues with the harvesting and compounding, but we are working on fixing those. And yes, so the 2% is on the actual yield itself. So let's say that your pool generates, I don't know, let's say $10 in swap fees. So 2% of that $10 is the performance fee. And right, as Oxy pointed out, if you go to the strategy section of the Dyson pool, it will say the exact percentage, and that's actually being drawn from the contract. So it is accurate, that percentage. And again, that performance fee, that 2%, if that's what it says for your pool, which it should be for the Uniswap pools in Dyson right now, it's only on the actual harvests themselves. It does not affect your actual deposited position. Now, what can affect your actual deposited position is, number one, compounding, but then number two, impermanent loss, as there is rebalancing by nature of the active concentrated liquidity management. But another thing too, Solve Maxwell, I'll call you Max, is that we've also mentioned that we are working on integrating better analytics for these pools so that you can, in time, will be able to more clearly see, the effect of impermanent loss, for example, those sorts of things on the front end of Dyson. Yeah, once that hits, it'll be that'll be really cool, because Dyson's vaults are the only. I think it's the only one. If not, it's most don't do this, but it's unique. I believe it's completely unique to Dyson to actually route swaps through through 1 inch to get the lowest slippage swaps when rebalancing the pools in the active liquidity management. So that's pretty neat. At what point does it remove liquidity and create a new position? You mentioned at a certain amount ready to be harvested. What if we're out of range? Yeah, so if the pool moves too far out of range within a certain threshold, then it will also rebalance, because it needs to be collecting the fees. So if it drops out of range past a certain threshold, then that will trigger a rebalance as well. Wait, I just thought something was happening with Galaxy Marketplace. We haven't seen anything about that in a long time. Well, in some ways, I guess it's kind of reconceptualized into Oprion, because that's a form of bonds, but technically not really. But I don't really have any updates in terms of Galaxy Marketplace, at least at this time. I'd say that the best I could say is that there's much more focus right now on getting Prion launched and ensuring that those building blocks between Prion, Sphere Lend, Dyson can run smoothly, and we can continue building upon those. And one thing about that center too is that Galaxy Marketplace, that concept is more focused on the Sphere token itself, whereas something like Prion is really branching out into a whole set of different potentially interested parties. So there's a lot more internal incentive to build out Preon Dyson Sphere Land than there is to build out the Galaxy Marketplace just for the Sphere token, if that makes sense. And Ultra, thank you for pointing out too. So after we close off the AMA, please don't hesitate. Continue asking questions. We got Sphere chat, Dyson chat. The team is here to help, and the community as well. So please continue asking questions. We're here to help. Max, thanks all. Further questions? How far is too far out of range for W-matic curve for triggering rebalance? I see Panda typing. I actually don't know the specifics of that threshold for the range. As I mentioned, you can show me a contract and I will have no idea what it means. So unfortunately, I can't give you a good answer on that. I just know that the way that it is set up is once it is out of range within that certain threshold, that will trigger the rebalance. And in addition to that, certain pools have issues with rebalancing, and we're working on a fix for that. Good questions, and we certainly appreciate you being here to ask them. That's exactly what this forum is for. All right. Still see some folks typing. We'll give it a minute. Set info in docs. The specifics of that I do not believe are in the documents. This is something that will likely become more clear once we are able to release those front-end analytics, like I mentioned. Although unfortunately, I would imagine that wouldn't come until after the release of Preon. So sorry I'm not able to give a detailed answer to your question. Well, we have about 10 minutes left. Is there anything else on your mind about Dyson or questions about things? I see typing, which is good. Although don't don't pull a Surma where Surma was typing and then I was waiting and then nothing happened. What is the concentrated liquidity band percentage? Do you mean the actual range? That I'm not sure as well. Unfortunately, that kind of falls within the same type of thing in terms of the analytics, because I believe it is different for each pool based on the volatility. These are really good questions, by the way. The fact that I don't know the exact answers doesn't take away the fact that these are really good questions. I really need to know this info. Can you direct me somewhere I can find this info? Um, yeah, so Oxy mentioned you can check those stats if you copy the strategy address and paste it in revert finance. So that's one way. Potentially, potential. I can't speak anymore, guys. Potentially, Pandu with a U might know, and Surma might know, because they are good at actually looking into the contracts themselves and understanding what the contracts mean. But yeah, that's a good starting place, as Oxy mentioned, using revert finance to dig a bit deeper. Yeah, yeah. Show me a dev and or contract, and I'll be like, oh, neat. Very good questions, though. Very good questions. All right, a couple others typing, and we could probably wrap up then in the next few minutes. I can tell what's happening in general, but not able to discover this exactly. Yeah. Do you know if there will ever be a WBTC USDC pool in Dyson? I get BTC and USDC per month from an NFT. Well, that's cool. And it would be great to have a place to park it. Um, I guess if there is enough interest from the community, it would also depend on how the how what am I trying to say? How lucrative the swap fees are in terms of actually building that vault for Dyson. So there's different things to consider within that, but you can always put it into a suggestion and see how the rest of the community is interested in such a thing. But yeah, it's a neat idea. I don't know I'm very tempted to look at Uniswap's page and see what the actual volume is on that specific pair, because that will be a factor within that consideration as well. Exactly. Thank you, Ultra. Dyson Ideas. Good, good. All right. Um, I'm pretty happy with this AMA. Good interactions from you guys. Good questions. Again, I'm sorry I don't know the answers to some of them. Um, but we will hopefully you can be able to solve some of those questions through the contract through revert finance. And if not, please continue to ask us in Sphere chat or Dyson chat. Either one will be able to assist you there. And yeah, otherwise, any other questions coming up? Thoughts, concerns, knock knock jokes, life advice? But yeah, we'll wrap things up here. Life advice: listen to PT at least 30 minutes a week. Hey, you know what? If my voice is actually that calming and can help people lower their blood pressure, I'm all for it. I would say that that's a win. Only when. Oh, thanks, Ultra. Someone had to do it. Ah, all right, all right. Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what? Thanks everyone for being here. I enjoyed this AMA. This was a good one. Um, as I mentioned earlier on, there will not be an AMA next week, but we will continue with YouTube things in general back 2 weeks from now. So I hope everyone is doing well until that time, and we'll look forward to talking with you all then. Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it. I will do my best to touch as much grass as physically possible. And hopefully you can too. All right, guys, always remember that you matter for who you are. Hopefully you have a good rest of your day. Thank you very much, Oxy, and everyone. Peace out until Thank you, Ultra. Until next time. Bye bye.